Hey everybody, happy Turkey Day. Welcome into a Thursday edition of To The Point podcast. It is a big money Thursday. No show tomorrow. Going to watch my sister play some hockey this weekend in the capital, Fredericton, New Brunswick. So we'll be out of office tomorrow afternoon. But with that being said, we got a locked and loaded show for you today. I had everything sketched out of what I wanted to get into today, taking notes from last night's games. I found out some more news about the UFC 282, which I'll divulge today. I contact Matt Wright. He's going to join the show in about an hour. We get our betting lines put in for the week. I got my parlay that I believe I want to put in. I've already put in a bet for today's games. That's live because the first NFL game today starts in approximately 20 minutes. Kickoff live from Detroit. And then I'm watching Leafs Devils last night on Sportsnet. And I'll start off the show by saying this. I have no clue what anybody else's opinion on last night's proceedings are, because I listened to the game with no sound. I did not listen to any of the intermission because Sportsnet's intermissions aren't that entertaining anymore. Also, I flipped other games during the intermissions. I'm not waiting around to hear. I don't really care that much. There's other interesting teams. I'd rather have them on than listen to an intermission report and hear about the addition of Connor Timmins. I have no clue what anybody's opinion on last night was, so I have not been swayed, which I guess I never am. But there's no unconscious bias. There's nothing. I'm coming in locked and loaded today. Did not know that I would be starting the show with this phrase. The fix is in, folks. The fix is in. And I don't know if I've seen a fix like last night's since the early 1990s. And this isn't a professional sports reference. If you know professional wrestling, there was a match between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, and please indulge me on this, in Montreal. And in that match, Vince McMahon screwed over Bret Hart. Shawn Michaels gave Bret a low blow. He rolled him up to secure the heavyweight championship of the world. And yes, professional wrestling is scripted. This was not. This was off the cuff. Bret Hart still holds a grudge to this day with WWE, and it's still one of the most talked about events in the history of the promotion. Well, last night we saw something that was predictable because we're talking about video replay and we're talking about human beings still making decisions based off video replay. At the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey last night, there were 3 disallowed goals on the New Jersey Devils. And let me tell you, 2 of the 3 were lock goals, and the middle one, which is the most, you could say, is the most controversial one, I think was a goal too. This subjective video review shit process is not working. I've talked about it to death, but last night is another reason why. So let's go through the game. The first disallowed goal is a point shot from the point from Jonas Siegenthaler, who's playing great, by the way, but that's a whole other story. That's a whole other podcast. He takes a shot. Nathan Bastian's in front. Hits off Bastian back in the net. Now, Bastian was close to Matt Murray. He didn't bump him. He did not get in his way from stopping the puck. And that is the rule of goaltender interference, is did you allow the goalie to make the save? Unequivocally, he did. And it's ruled no goal. They look at it. It's a stoppage, no goal. Soft as Cottonelle. Soft as Cottonelle on this play. Matt Murray could have made the save. Matt Murray could have made the save, and yet, no, it's no goal. It's not 1-0 New Jersey. Why? I don't know why. I don't understand it. To make matters worse, New Jersey challenges the play because the refs are too stupid. Okay, they'll get it right on the review. No. Power play Toronto. So you're wrong, and then the team that's getting benefited already, because it should be 1-0, gets a power play. Why? Unequivocally bad, stupid, whatever kind of adjective you want to put in there, do it, because that's what it was. Second goal. Matt Murray is coming out to play the puck. He's got a guy in front of him. They run into each other. I would say Matt Murray initiated contact, not the other way around. Matt Murray skating into him. He didn't drive by Matt Murray. He didn't hit him. And by the way, if a goaltender is out of the crease, I played wing. If I'm not in the crease, I can get in front of the goalie because I'm trying to screen him. I'm trying to deflect the puck. This isn't fucking rocket science. A goalie initiates contact, a goalie falls because he's soft, and yet the player gets the disadvantage. That is not right. Goaltenders are coddled enough. They play half the games every year. They're injured every other day. They can't practice. They can't this and that. Enough. That's no goal. I thought that was a goal too. 100%. And then there's the third one. That is the most confusing to me, and here's why. The third one was ruled a goal on the ice. There was no definitive kicking motion on the third goal, yet it was ruled, it was kicked in, it wasn't right. Well, if it was ruled a goal on the ice, you need definitive proof that it's not a goal. And what I've learned throughout this process is much easier to prove that it's not a goal than it is a goal. Through this process of looking at plays, looking at replay. Replay is broken. Replay does not fix the game. It causes more problems. There's more confusion now on what's a goal and what isn't. And I'm sure Leafs media is all fired up and they feel like all those were the right calls. They were not. And I don't condone what happened. New Jersey Devils fans are throwing pints, throwing chips, throwing their kids on the ice. Anything they can get their hands on. They are littering the ice. And I don't condone throwing that stuff at Leafs players. Toronto Maple Leafs had nothing to do with how they called it last night. I can blame Matt Murray for being soft in the second goal. But Toronto, the team, does not get to decide what happens on those goals. Now, the officials, Toronto itself, the league, you screwed the pooch. The fix was in. And this is a big deal. It's a bigger deal than just one of 82. And here's why. What if they count one of them? Goes to overtime. New Jersey gets a point. It's a big point. We've seen the Leafs lose 5 overtime games. They got a point in all those games. That's a big deal. You get that extra point, you feel better about yourself. You can skew your record and say, look at us, we're this many games above 500, even though you lost an overtime game. So you're really not. But again, it means something. You miss a point? What if you lose out on a division title by a point? Boy, that would feel shitty, wouldn't it? Then you'd really come back to this game and think, wow, we got screwed here. And there's also this. There's history on the line. New Jersey wins last night. They would have won 14 in a row. They would be 3 wins away from tying an NHL record that is 17 consecutive victories held by the Pittsburgh Penguins in the early 90s. It's no lock you win the next 3, but can't you go for history? It was no lock that the Golden State Warriors would win 73 games in 2016, but they did. Video review didn't screw them. History can happen when you least expect it. If the argument is, well, it's New Jersey, they're not that good of a team, it won't happen. Okay, shut up. You're not watching hockey. Watch the game last night. Who was the better team? New Jersey. They're better than Toronto. 5-on-5 power play. I don't care. Matt Murray is fantastic. I'll get to him in a minute. I'm going to talk about the least play. But in what happened last night was wrong. The fix was in. Jersey got screwed just like Bret Hart in 1990 in Montreal. That first one, I knew the night was going to be interesting. Because when it's so obvious to me, and I don't know a human being that's watched more hockey this year than me, I'll take on anybody. Anybody thinks they've watched more than me, more sports than me over the last calendar year? Come at me, bro. There's my millennial saying of the day. But you haven't. I watched so many games that would make you crazy. I had to stay up last night to watch Ottawa, for Christ's sake. Didn't want to, but I did. To me, this is simple. Your video review system does not work. And how is there 3 disallowed goals in one game? I pitched this before, and I'll do it again right now. If you don't want players near the goalie, if a forward, anybody in front of the goalie, if your skate hits the crease, blow the whistle. Face off outside the zone. That's what they do in IIHF. It works. There's not that many whistles anymore. Guys figure it out. There's no real questionable calls. Why? Because it's a definitive rule. You know what it is. You know what it is. And they blow it down, and there's a face-off. And by the way, Nathan Bastian was not in the crease last night, and they still didn't allow the goal. Matt Murray comes out of the crease on the second one, and they don't allow a goal. What is the standard? How, in that sense, was Matt Murray not allowed to make a save on that first goal? It had zero impact on the play. None. Siegenthaler beat Murray clean. Period. And Matt Murray played good last night, but at the same time, he allowed 4 fucking goals, not 1. 4. They count 1. New Jersey would have doubled up Toronto last night, and they probably would have had an empty netter because they were by far the better team. I don't like when it's such stupidity. And I'll repeat, this has nothing to do with Toronto, the team. This could be New Jersey, Buffalo. I would have watched the game. I watch shitty teams all the time. But to throw away 2 points from a team because of a subjective opinion? I would have disagreed with the first 2. Because they ruled no goal on the ice. Okay. I can live with that with no review. But then you reviewed it. The third goal, you ruled a goal. Then you reviewed it. At the very least, in my new system, that's 2-2 and you're going overtime. And who had all the momentum? New Jersey. Did you see Mark Giordano after the game? It looked like he had won the Stanley Cup. It looked like they had dethroned Goliath. They were that fired up, this Toronto team, the team that you think would be the behemoth against little brother New Jersey. No, it's the other way around. They took it to them. But subjective, stupid officiating in league rules cost New Jersey last night, period. It needs to be fixed because if you want to have any kind of respect as a league, if you want people to look at your product and say, you know what, this is something that people can be proud of and it's something that we want to promote in our game, that wasn't it last night. Other than that, which was really the whole game, quite frankly. For Toronto, They scored a pair of ugly 5-on-5 goals last night, but I give them all the credit in the world because that's what I've been telling them to do. Mitch Marner on the first goal strips a puck down low. John Tavares is open in front of the net. He taps it home. Great. Pontus Holmberg gets his first career NHL goal, getting to the front of the net. This team is not as talented as it used to be. Ilya Mikheyev is more talented than Kalle Järnkrok. The guys that they brought in and moved out are different kind of players. It's going to have to be a nitty-gritty game for them right now, in particular in their bottom lines, because there's not a whole whack of skill. Alex Kerfoot's not creating a whole lot of opportunities. Pontus Holmberg is going to create opportunities by working hard, which is great. Pierre Engvall could create more opportunities, but he doesn't throw a check. He doesn't fight for a puck in a corner, so it's not going to happen. Matt Murray. I thought he played really well last night. I mean, you look at the new stat sheet, the wrong one, but the one that comes out, he faced 35 shots last night and he stopped 34 of them. That's pretty damn impressive. Again, those would be 4 goals on 35 shots in the real world. The metaverse, it's the other way around. But he's played extremely well since he's come off injured reserve. He's looked, and if I'm a Leaf fan, I'm happy, but I'm not jumping for joy yet. You need to see a 20, and this isn't to say, oh, feel bad about no, just have perspective. We're at the 20 game. The Maple Leafs played their 21st game last night. New Jersey played their 20th. We're a quarter of the way in. How about the second quarter? That's when I'd really say, okay, how's Matt Murray doing now? If he's playing, if he's not hurt again, if there isn't more problems, then you can really be like, hey, I think we got our starting goaltender for game 1. That would be my approach, is be cautiously optimistic for the next little while, because it's hard to have ultimate confidence in a guy that's so often injured. He gets hurt in warm-up. He has had all kinds of injury problems in Ottawa. So be cautiously optimistic, but love what he's doing on the ice, 100%. He's dialed in every night. He looks extremely confident. There's nothing not to like about Matt Murray's play right now. He's doing it all for this team. Austin Matthews, another game last night that he really had no impact on. He's got 9 goals, which is good. 3 5-on-5. And I look around and I look at Jason Robertson, who's up to 16 goals now, which is tied for the league lead. Bo Horvat's got 16 goals. Pasternak has 13. Like, you see guys that are having more goals than Matthews. I just don't see a player that has constant jump on every shift, that's creating a whole lot of opportunities for teammates. And I think it's what's even more puzzling is I think William Nylander is playing extremely well, and he's the more creative player on that line. Nylander's been the better player overall on that line. For Matthews, he's getting hit. He's involved in a lot of these. For him, I just want to see him go out there, and what would be a flip the switch for me is have a physical game. He does it every once in a while. He doesn't love doing it because he can float, and he's floating a lot more than he did last season currently. Go have a physical game. Get in the corners. You're a huge man. Go do it. And I look at their next opponent. It's Minnesota tomorrow afternoon. Minnesota is one of the most physical teams you're going to come across. They got Marcus Foligno, who's a nasty piece of business. They got Joel Eriksson Ek, who's a really good skill winger, but if you want to fuck around, he'll bring it. Matthew Boldy is a good-sized winger. Zuccarello's got more grit than you think. Matt Dumba's on the back end's tough. Minnesota's tough, and they've added Ryan Reeves, so they're even more girthy than they used to be. Go have an afternoon tomorrow. Throw some hits around. It's a weird afternoon game on a Friday. But go have an impact and do something different than you've done all season long is what my recommendation would be. We've seen you float. We've seen your game, but 5-on-5, you've not been a great player. And you play with Nylander. You play with Marner. They're not making any more changes. He's playing with one of those two wingers. They're not putting Kerfoot and Bunting on his line. I can't see that happening for Austin Matthews. So you need to find it with your line mates as one of these two guys. But to me, Marner had a 13-game point streak. Nylander's got 11 goals. Tavares has 12. Like, these guys are producing. It's about putting in a full 60 minutes where you're like, I noticed this guy every shift. He was on it. Like, if you watch the Dallas Stars, which I do, you notice Jason Robertson. You notice him a lot on the ice. He does a lot of little things correctly. He's not a great skater, but every time you're like, okay, there he is. He's got the puck again. He makes a strip in his own zone. Puck gets out quick. And that's why Pavelski, Rupe Hintz, and Jason Robertson are, in my opinion, the best line in the NHL right now. They're just noticeable. I think for Matthews, have that physical game tomorrow afternoon. Bring it to the Minnesota Wild. But your next two, you got Minnesota, and then you have Pittsburgh again. They play Pittsburgh 3 times in 2.5 weeks. The season series will be over against Pittsburgh Saturday. That's it. 3 games against Pittsburgh. They're all done in 1 month. Not a great time to catch Pittsburgh either. They've won 4 in a row. Get to that in a minute. Both teams are on a back-to-back as Pittsburgh's playing Philadelphia tomorrow as well. So both teams are playing tomorrow. Both teams are actually on the road tomorrow. So Pittsburgh will be traveling back from Philadelphia. Toronto will be coming to Minnesota to Pittsburgh. Nick Robertson didn't do much for me last night. Another game that I didn't really notice him. I thought Marner and Tavares were good, but it really had nothing to do with John Tavares. And I would say the winger that plays with them is not really that noticeable because they're not doing that much. I agree with Keith, saying that, Kerfoot didn't have a whole lot of connection with that line. Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. But at the same time, neither did Nick Robertson last night. Nick Robertson did not have an impact on the game. I don't agree with playing a guy just to play a guy. I think that the way this team's built, Dennis Malgin's a better fit for this team right now. But I think there is pressure from management to play Nick Robertson. They won a game and he played in it. I think he'll play again tomorrow night, but we'll see. So big takeaways from last night. New Jersey's a better team than Toronto currently. They might have split the season series. New Jersey is better. They're in almost every aspect, minus goaltending maybe. But Vanacek was good last night too. I like that the Leafs are playing 5-on-5. They're playing dirty. They're getting into those areas, and they're scoring ugly goals. That is paramount to any team having success. I don't care how fucking skilled you are. You need to score ugly goals that you might not be proud of, but guess what? It counts on the score sheet. For New Jersey, continue to play with that pace. You should still be confident. And the biggest thing for me now, Lindy Ruff is a veteran head coach. He's been through everything there's been through. Last night was an emotional game for that team, and they're a young team. To me, he needs to prop them back up because that's a tough way for your winning streak to be snapped. It's about coming out of this with the right mental mindset. Coming out of this saying, you know what, we're fine. And it's not a sob story, but I also, you could tell your team, hey, we should have won last night. Let's not change a damn thing because we won that game last night 4-2 in reality. But the refs and video reviews screwed us away from getting our 14th straight win. So you know what, let's keep playing well. Let's keep having success. That would be my approach. Don't change much. Because the biggest thing is you could run into a game like this where fans are throwing liquor on the ice and it's negative and there's all kinds of media attention and the team could fold. This will tell us what this New Jersey team is made of. and whether they are ready to take that next step to being a playoff team, to being able to compete for the remainder of the season to win the Metropolitan Division, which isn't crazy to think about at this point. But I think this is the next 5 to 10 game stretch for New Jersey will tell us exactly who they are, because that is an emotional way to lose for your winning streak to be snapped, to get screwed over from getting it. Officials didn't let you play to continue that streak. And honestly, the best thing you can ask for an official is to let you play. To let you play your way out of it, to let us play the game. They didn't do that last night, and they screwed New Jersey. This officiating crew should have a review. If I'm the New Jersey Devils, I'm filing a protest with the National Hockey League, and I want a meeting to really hear why all these goals did not count. Because I saw Lindy Ruff on that bench, and the first and third goals, he definitively thought they were goals. I don't disagree with him at all. Second one I would have counted two, but the first two make absolutely no sense to me. Congratulations to Toronto. You didn't deserve a win, but you got one. Be proud of the 2 points. You're second in the Atlantic Division at this point, and there were talk of firing your coach. That was always ludicrous. That was always stupid. You're a good team. You are a good team. You still have growing pains. Your defense core is beat up. But nevertheless, you're in this position right now, and you're in good shape. Credit to them for battling through the noise, coming out and having a really good stretch. No surprise, you heard it from me. The Leafs hater, some people in my family call me. Yet I told you what was going to happen with this team. So am I really the hater, or am I just the oracle? That's not for me to say. Winnipeg, Minnesota last night. Minnesota will meet Toronto on Friday afternoon, as I mentioned a few minutes ago. Minnesota just pummeled the Winnipeg Jets last night. Just came out and drubbed them. And I wanted to talk a bit about Minnesota's acquisition of Ryan Reeves, because the Rangers had scratched Ryan Reeves 6 of the last 7 games. He was not playing, and reportedly Ryan Reeves met with Gerard Gallant and Chris Drury and said, if I'm not playing, I want a new opportunity. And they flipped him to the Minnesota Wild for a 5th-round draft pick. Now, I will start off by saying this. Ryan Reeves, when he gets traded from teams, that team normally has some success. You see a shift. When he got to the Rangers originally, they turned the corner and they started to play really good hockey. It's not all because of him, but it's there. When he was traded to Pittsburgh, they were having a lot of success. He got to Vegas, they started to play really good hockey. So Ryan Reeves is always a positive guy in every team he plays for. He will defend his teammates, and he just seems to be liked from the team he's on. Every time, every team he's been on seems to like him. Now, why the Minnesota Wild acquired him, I do not understand. I look at Minnesota, and their needs are not Ryan Reeves type players. Just point blank. Joel Eriksson, Marcus Foligno, Jordan Greenway. These forwards are all the similar type, and they're all better than Ryan Reeves. Ryan Reeves with Greenway and Foligno, yeah, that sounds great in practice, and I love it. I love hearing it. And it's a line you put together in your NHL 2K or whatever it's called nowadays, and your fourth line would be full of just massive guys who go out there and hit everybody. But that's not the NHL. Ryan Reeves is not a fast player. Jordan Greenway is not a particular fast player. Foligno's gotten better at skating throughout his career. But that's not going to be a line. And I don't want them spread around on different – I look at it and I want – Minnesota needs more skilled players than they do Ryan Reeves types right now. Kirill the Thrill, Kaprizov, and Zuccarello and Matthew Boldy have so much on their shoulders with this team. Seemingly every night they have to do more and more to get this team victories. They have to carry the offensive load. They're on the power play. They're in every big situation. And the depth of this team with guys like Brandon Duhamel and Connor DeWay and Mason Shaw. And yeah, these are guys you haven't heard of. And Minnesota's in a pickle because they have no salary cap room. They had to get rid of guys like Kevin Fiala, who had a great season last year for the Wild. But this team is depleted. And Ryan Reeves is not going to make your life any easier when it comes to providing offense. And I think Minnesota's got a good back end. It's something that's a strength for them with Matthew Dumba, who's in the last year of his contract, who's been rumored to be traded for many years. You got, obviously, Jared Spurgeon, the captain. Jonas Brodin is great. Alex Goligoski got an opportunity to play the last couple nights. So I think for this team, they need more depth. They need more lines because Kaprizov might be able to do this all season, but Zuccarello is a veteran. He can't keep up this pace the whole year, every night being asked to be the hero of this club. Matthew Boldy, I love Matthew Boldy. Great find, but he's a second-year player. Just his second season out of college. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do this the whole season. Ryan Reeves makes you more tough. But I look at Minnesota right now. Marc-Andre Fleury's hurt. Cam Talbot's in Ottawa and he's playing horrible, but you don't have Cam Talbot to put in net. Philip Gustafson's your starting goaltender right now. How long can you sustain this? How long can he be your starting goaltender that you stay in the playoff mix in the Central Division? Minnesota was a playoff team last year, but injuries can fold you, and they got a couple things. They have no salary cap space. They got injuries, and they got one line of massive production, and then it dips like crazy. Marco Rossi is not an NHL player yet. He's still developing. I'm not sure he ever will be. He's got 2 assists on the season, Marco Rossi. He's still trying to find his game. I like Minnesota. I thought to be a playoff team at the start of the year, but I thought Marc-Andre Fleury would get more starts. If he's out long-term, look for Minnesota to be a seller because I think they'll fade. Matt Dumba's a UFA at the end of the year. They love him in Minnesota, but I think teams around the league would love to have him on their roster too. He'd be a difference maker. He plays with a physical edge, and I think he's a leader on any team he's on. Just with his play and also his ability to bond and defend his teammates. Jonas Brodin is another guy. He's signed long-term, but I think he's a really good defenseman. He's a defensive defenseman, but he knows his role. He's been doing it forever in Minnesota, and he does it effectively. They're a fun team to keep your eye on for me, but this Ryan Reeves move makes no sense because Ryan Reeves does not help this team. With his skill set, okay, you have a bunch of girthy forwards. This isn't 1998. This isn't rock'em sock'em hockey. You need fast, you need speed to be able to transition. Reeves doesn't do any of that. Number of teams around the league, I think, could have used the services of Ryan Reeves. I do not understand why Minnesota was the team that made that call. Winnipeg, on the other hand, they got news yesterday that Nick Ehlers, who's been out for some time, they've been mulling over what he's going to do. He's injured, and it was announced that Nick Ehlers had sports hernia surgery, and he'll be out 6 to 8 weeks. So the maximum 2 months, meaning he would return at the end of January, potentially early February for the Winnipeg Jets. Now, I talked yesterday about how Winnipeg, through 20 games, has been one of the more surprising teams for me because they've been so, there was such a disappointment last year. Connor Hellebuck had a really down season. He's bounced back. The team's played phenomenal. Blake Wheeler gets stripped of the captaincy, but he's played really well, and he hasn't looked like it's affected him. Mark Scheifele's dialed in. Kyle Connor, of course. Morrissey, Pionk, their defense is starting to gel. And, of course, the day I say that, they get absolutely destroyed by the Wild last night, 6-1. But they've been good. I will say this, Nick Ehlers leaving the team is a big deal because Nick Ehlers is basically the Toronto Maple Leafs William Nylander. He's the Boston Bruins Jake DeBrusk. He's a really important piece. He's secondary scoring, but he's a very good player. He's a top 6 winger every day of the week, and you know you're going to get 70 points, 30 goals from that player every year. And there's been seasons where he's done better than that. He's fast. He's not afraid. He's small, but he's not afraid to mix it up. He doesn't like to be pushed around, Nick Ehlers. And you lose that player for 2 months, it can be a massive detriment. Not to mention Winnipeg's without Jansen Harkins. They're without Mason Appleton. So they are very thin at the winger position right now. They're bringing up AHL players day after day, just trying to fill bodies into this lineup. To me, the Central Division is so intriguing because Colorado, you look at last night, Colorado loses to Vancouver. That's an anomaly. You got St. Louis gets destroyed by my Sabres. That's an anomaly. Nashville can't get a win to save their life. They lose to the Detroit Red Wings. They get shut out last night. It's been a weird year for the Central because I thought it'd be a really strong division. But as I took a look at it, yes, Colorado lost last night. That is true. But they're playing good hockey. They blew a lead last night. Ethan Bear scores a game winner for Vancouver. Good for him as he's bounced around the season through Carolina, and now he's in Vancouver. But I look at the Central, and right now Dallas is in first place. They've been the most consistent team in the NHL. However, they played 20 games. They have 27 points. Colorado and Winnipeg have both played 18, so they haven't gotten to the 20-game threshold yet, and they have 23. So if Winnipeg and Colorado both win those games in regulation, they're tied for first in the Central. So it's very much a dogfight. My confidence meter, as we sit here, I still have Colorado 1 because I think Georgiev has answered some questions. Their defense core is still as good as it gets because there's not a massive injury there. You still got Byram. You got Cale Makar, who is so damn good. Sammy Girard's a great regular season defenseman. Colorado's still great. They're still scoring goals. Newhook's starting to find his game. So I have most confidence in Colorado. Number 2 in this division, at the beginning of the year, I would have said St. Louis. And through 19 games, St. Louis has 20 points, as does Minnesota, as does Nashville. Those 3 teams have really been disappointing, 100%. Arizona's got 16 points. They're 4 back of those 3 teams, and I think they'll remain back of them. But that's just adding to my point here. I would go Colorado, Dallas. I have the second most confidence in because I look at that team as a whole. I think they're really well coached. I like Ottinger more than I like Saros right now, more than I like Binnington. And I also think Dallas, their defense core is really underrated. Hakanpää is extremely good. You still have Miro Heiskanen. You still got Esa Lindell, who's fantastic night in, night out defensively. And you got Jason Robertson, who's tied for the league lead in goals. Jamie Benn is playing well this season. He's actually, if you watch that team night in, night out, Jamie Benn's playing consistently pretty solid hockey. So I'd have Dallas number 2 in my Central Division confidence list. 3, I'd love to say St. Louis because I had St. Louis going to the Cup final before the season started. And they're 10-9. 9 regulation losses, including getting thumped by the Sabres last night, 6-2. I think St. Louis is pretty good. I thought they turned it around. I still think making that coaching change wouldn't have been a bad idea. But this division is so hard to predict because Winnipeg not having any winger depth and lack of scoring, I think will hurt them more than other teams, and it'll be on Connor Hellebuck to be a Vezina winning goaltender. But he has been in the past, so you can bank on that. St. Louis, you could say, will bank on their veteran leadership and bank on that team full of guys that have done it, that have been through wars, to come out the other side and be in a position to at least make the playoffs. They've done that. UC Saros was nominated for the Vezina last season, although he's been really, really poor. I mean, I look at the Preds, they're not scoring goals. Nito Niederreiter leads the Nashville Predators in goal scoring. He was added in the offseason. He wasn't on the team last season. They're losing games a lot, low-scoring games. Matt Duchene had a career year last year, as did Johansson. They really found it. And when you look around, Duchene's got 15 points in 20 games. It's actually not that bad. But again, you need more production. Philip Forsberg has been pretty productive. He's got 18 points in 20 games, or 19 points in 20 games. So he hasn't been the problem. In addition, Ryan McDonough has done his job. He's got 6 points, but that's what you expect from a guy like Ryan McDonough. Johansson's got 11 and 20. That's where it is. And also Johansson is on the ice for a lot of goals. Not a great face-off guy. He needs to be productive every night. When you look at his last 5 games, he's got 3 points, but he's not having a massive, massive impact on this team. He had 63 points in 79 games last year, but he had 26 goals. He's got 5 and 20. That's just not enough. And like Tanner Jeannot's got 4 points in 20 games. That's not good enough. Mikhail Granlund has 2 goals. So this team isn't scoring, and they need to find a way to... So I would go Colorado, then I'd go Dallas because I love Ottinger and I think that team's really good. I would go St. Louis third in my confidence meter. And again, I'm clinging to that because I thought they'd be really good to start the season. Then I might go Winnipeg, Minnesota, Nashville because I just see speed bumps at every one of those roads. Minnesota, I just don't love their depth. And does Kaprizov, Zuccarello, and the top end of that team just bottom out and say, we're so damn tired, we can't do this forever? For Nashville, you're relying on veteran players who have been wildly inconsistent in the past to remain great. It's a tough ask. And you're relying on Saros again to be Superman. Kevin Lankinen's got a better save percentage than Saros this season. He's got they got a 320 goals against average. As a team, Kevin Lankinen and UC, that's not good enough. It just isn't. So Nashville's got Colorado tomorrow in Nashville, an afternoon game. There's so many of those tomorrow for Black Friday. But this Central is interesting. Chicago's at the bottom. They're a point back of Arizona. They love that. I'll tell you, the way they were playing earlier, they've gone on a skid of skids lately. They had a 3-1 lead last night. Dallas comes back to win that game. And Max Domi's played pretty good. Taves still looks good, in my opinion. Patrick Kane's getting points. Here's my thought. Chicago's open for business, and I think they're going to deal a number of guys. Domi's got a 1-year deal. Anthony Ciu's got a 1-year deal. Let's look through this team. Domi's had a decent start. He's got 14 points in 19 games. Anthony Ciu has been actually scoring goals. Normally his brick hands, he's missing them. He was brought in 1-year deal for $3 million, just like Max Domi. He's a guy you can poach. Patrick Kane's got 15 points in 19 games. It's not fantastic, but Patrick Kane still can. Just say that guy stinks, and then we'll see what happens. Teams are going to want him. I think Philip Kurashev could be had, and Jonathan Taves, as I mentioned, he's been pretty good this season. I've watched him play. He looks good. That he's got 13 points in 19 games. Not great, but not horrible at the same time. He's not a number 1 guy anymore. He's a number 2, number 3 center on a Stanley Cup winning team. It is November. But I'm a team, I'm making calls now. I've been talking about the New York Rangers for so long and how they should trade for Patrick Kane. Well, we're here at the 20 game mark. We're here at American Thanksgiving. And, I got a list here. I call it the turkey shoot, which is, 5 topics that I find really compelling at this point, things that we should look at. Number 5, I have mediocrity as the name of this, and it's because a lot of teams are just the same. They're in the same mix. They're not playing great. They're not playing bad, but they're just there. The New York Rangers have 24 points. That's not horrible, but it's not great either. They are 10-7-4. I would say the Rangers and the Leafs are the most surprising for me for just how average they've been. I expected both teams to be better. I expected both teams to win their respective divisions. Now, Carolina's hit a skid lately. They're 10-6-4. They got 24 points too. New York's played one more game. They played 21. Carolina's played 20. But the Islanders are ahead of both Carolina and the Rangers and Pittsburgh for that matter. But you see Pittsburgh starting to find their game. They're a point back. They're 10-7-3. So they're right there in the mix with the New York Rangers. For the Rangers, if you can cook up a Patrick Kane trade, he has to accept the deal. I think he'd accept the deal to the Rangers. I've been saying that all along. I've been trying to will this into existence. Now, you can make an argument that their team's faults aren't scoring. I think they still need more forwards up front. Lafreniere and Kakko, unfortunately, they're misses. And you could argue Philip Hedl's been a miss too, even though Hedl's been decently productive. But Julien Gauthier, Kakko, Lafreniere, these guys are just there. Lafreniere's got 9 points in 21 games. He's got 2 goals. That's not enough production. Vincent Trocheck's got 14 points in 20 but 7 goals. You'll take that. Jimmy Vesey. I mean, you're looking at these guys that are plugging in. Vesey, Gauthier, Kakko. They're all the same. They don't bring much to the table. I wish Kakko was a better player. I really wish he was. I thought he was the right pick. I thought he'd be the number 1 pick in the draft because I liked him a lot. Unfortunately, his offensive game he's got 8 points in 21 games. 1 less than Lafreniere. Teams would take, if you're going to put in a deal and you got to trade Lafreniere and you got to trade, and this hurts my heart, Keandre Miller, who I love, then I do it if I'm the New York Rangers. Make a trade now rather than wait. You're right in the mix, but Pittsburgh's starting to play better. I thought Pittsburgh would be a really good team. They're going to be. They're starting to heat up. Adam Fox has been really good. Shesterkin's been decent. They haven't had Vitaly Kravtsov since the 3rd game of the season. But looking ahead for the Rangers, you got Edmonton. You got some games coming up that are interesting. So it's time to make some changes here. Be aggressive. Don't wait around. New Jersey's not slowing down. The rest might be trying to screw them, but the league isn't. The rest of the league is not. Just got some news here that Boreas Salming, the former Toronto Maple Leaf great, who, if you recall, just a few weeks ago at the Hockey Hall of Fame, was celebrated by the Maple Leafs, was celebrated by hockey, really, alongside his former teammates, including Daryl Sittler and Matt Sundin, has passed away at the age of 71. And this is a lot sooner than I thought it would be. But I'll tell you, I didn't know he was that sick. ALS is such a difficult thing to deal with. I think it's the worst disease that you can get. I honestly do, even more than cancer, because you're just everything is stripped from you. But for a person to pass away, 71 is far too young. But I lost a grandfather at 71, 72, and I know what that's like. It sucks. That has so much left to give you. But for him to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame, to go to 2 Leaf games, to be celebrated by that fan base, to be by Daryl Sittler again, to be by Matt Sundin, for Bill Nylander to give you that hug that was so emotional, is to have that respect given to you before you ultimately pass away. I don't think there's anything that's quite like that. He got a send-off. You hear the sports terms. John Elway won his Super Bowl and then left the game at the right time. Peyton Manning. It's happened to very few athletes. The great ones. For Boria, you're dealing with such a horrible disease. And you're going through it, and it's not fun. You can't speak anymore. You can hardly walk. But you get on a flight, and you get to Toronto from Sweden. You get onto that ice, and you're rewarded. You're celebrated. There's so much worse things that could have happened, and I will say, with everything that goes through with that sickness and with that disease, with that diagnosis, for him to get that send-off, I'm happy he got that because he deserved it. A true pioneer for European hockey players to come to North America. They were not welcome. The league didn't want them. They were shown disrespect by their counterparts. Management bringing them over didn't want to bring Swedish players over. It was, you had to convince them they were soft guys. Borje Salming came in and was a great, great player his entire time he's in Toronto. Salming is third all-time in games played in Maple Leafs history with 1,099. He's also the team's all-time assist leader with 620 and fourth in career points for the franchise behind only Matt Sundin, Daryl Sittler, and Dave Keon. Salming signed with the Toronto as a free agent in 1973 and played with the Maple Leafs for 16 seasons before finishing his NHL career playing 1 season with the Detroit Red Wings. He's a first-team All-Star and 5-time second-team All-Star in NHL. He appeared in 1,148 career games with the Maple Leafs and Red Wings, posting 150 goals and 787 points. In 1996, Salming was the first player from Sweden to be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. He was also named a member of the IIHF Centennial All-Star team in 2008 and was chosen as one of the 100 greatest NHL players in history for the league's Centennial in 2017. His number 21 was raised to the Raptors by the Leafs in 2006 and officially retired by the team in 2016. A Maple Leaf great, a hockey great, and just one of the great people in the game of hockey. And, I think Matt Sundin will look back at Salming's career. Marcus Naslund, the Sedin twins. You see what happens, and it takes a pioneer. It takes somebody to go through it first to create an opening for others. Salming was that door. He busted it open, and then so many great players followed him. So this is a sad day, absolutely, for his family, for the sports world. But I will unequivocally say that send-off that he got, that emotional night, is something that his family and that the entire hockey world will never forget. And I credit the Toronto Maple Leafs and I credit the National Hockey League for getting that right. Wrapping up my top 5 here. This is a tough transition on my turkey shoot list for the NHL over the first 20 games. Number 4, Tage Thompson is a star, and there's no debate anymore. I saw Tage Thompson last year. I thought, okay, it's one season. He came over from St. Louis. He was a first-round pick. The dude's a star. He had 5 points on Tuesday night. He's already got 13 goals on the season. Tage Thompson is a star. Buffalo Sabres are not a great team yet, but they got themselves a great hockey player in Tage Thompson. Number 3, Jason Robertson. Jason Robertson he's on the cusp of being a superstar player. He is that productive. He is that good for the Dallas Stars. He's played 24 games. He has points in 19 of them. He had another 2 goals last night in a win against Chicago, and he's now tied with Connor McDavid and Bo Horvat for the most goals in the NHL with 16 goals in 21 games. Incredible, incredible stuff. Jason Robertson's been doing it all. I watch him play. He gets better seemingly every time I watch him. His brother gets most of the spotlight because he plays in the Canadian market. But I'll put it to you this way. If Jason Robertson played in Toronto and Bill Nylander played, or even Mitch Marner, that's a better comparison, played in Dallas, Jason Robertson would be the talk of the town. He would be the opposite to Austin Matthews, and people would be debating if he's a superstar because he's played that damn good this season and the last 2 seasons for the Dallas Stars. The dude's a superstar. Turkey Shoot's second observation, injuries. Lots of injuries around the NHL. Maple Leafs Defense Corps, Muzzin, Riley, Brody, all hurt. Samsonov and Matt Murray were out for periods of time. Marc-Andre Fleury has been injured this season. Ricard Raquel missed a couple weeks for Pittsburgh. Calgary, Jack Campbell was hurt for a little while. I mean, you just look around the league, there are injuries galore. Mackenzie Blackwood, Andre Palat for my New Jersey Devils. Injuries all across the league have been a big topic of discussion. The pandemic, playing games in a short period of time, shorter off seasons. I'm not sure. I think the amount of hockey definitely has come up with it. But what they're doing, is there too many preseason games? Are they doing too much? You're never stop playing hockey, so there's the injury. I've been saying forever that I don't think you should just play. Kids shouldn't play hockey year round. I think players should take more time off. I think that's something to do with it. But injuries have certainly been a part of the problem. And number 1 observation, Boston Bruins and Las Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas won another game last night against the Ottawa Senators. Boston lost a game, finally, to the Florida Panthers. It was their 3rd loss of the season in 20 games. They are 17-3. Vegas is 15-4-1. These 2 teams, it seems like, okay, they're going to slow down. They're going to slow down. They keep winning games, period. In that division, I'm not sure Boston can say they've 100% secured a playoff spot, but they're pretty damn close. They play 500 the rest of the way. They will. Vegas is in a really bad division. Not to mention you get the Ottawa Senators you're playing an Eastern Conference team on a nice Wednesday night. You'll take that every day of the week. But Bruins with performance like Patrice Bergeron getting to point number 1,000, that's a key moment in the first 20 games. Seeing just the pure excitement that team had. And for Vegas, Jack Eichel is playing great hockey. If you're not staying up to watch Vegas games, Jack Eichel has been balling out with this team. You move up Pacioretty, you lose Robin Lehner, and you're looking around saying, what are we going to do? And I didn't think this team would make the playoffs. But I underestimated Jack Eichel coming back from back surgery, and I forgot how good a player he was before that injury. Jack Eichel's legit as legit can be. And he seems to have an impact. He scored an empty netter last night, but he had 2 points. He's got 11 goals. Mark Stone's got 9. William Carrier, a 4th-line center, has 7 for the Vegas Golden Knights. He's got 2 more than Bill Carlson. This team is bringing it in waves, but I look at Jack Eichel and just the way he plays, it's impressive to me. Played 20 minutes last night, but he had 7 shots, 2 points. And I just see a guy that's dialed in, that's giving a great effort night in, night out, and is the number one center for this team. He's got 26 points in 21 games. 11 goals, 15 assists, and for the people that really love this statistic, he's a plus 16. Oh, he's also got 0 penalty minutes. 6 points in his last 5 games. 26 points in 21 games. I mean, it's impressive shit. It's impressive stuff what Jack Eichel's doing. Kudos to him and the Golden Knights, because that could have went really south, but it hasn't. And another team I didn't throw on here, Matt Wright will join us here in just a second. But before, I want to keep touching on this because it's incredible to me. 20 games in. I should have had this on my list. Maybe I could have replaced this team with injuries. Seattle Kraken. The Kraken keep winning, and I thought they'd be decent. I'm going to give myself the bump on this. I talked about how this team had so many different weapons, guys that could score at least 20 goals. Andre Burakovsky, Matty Beniers. So many weapons. Matty Beniers, my guy, the rookie, had 3 points last night. Oliver Bjorkstrand hasn't started scoring goals yet. He got 2 goals in 19 games. Yet guess what? The team is playing phenomenal. They're second in the Pacific. They're 11-5-3. The guy they traded, they got for nothing, has 2 goals. Martin Jones played great. Burakovsky, a great ad, has 18 points in 19, almost a point per game stretch for him. Vince Dunn in his second season in Seattle. He's found his game a little. He's on that power play. He seems more comfortable. He knows what they're asked. He's got 12 points in 19 games. You'll take that from Vince Dunn. Jordan Eberle had a slow start. He's starting to find his game. He's important to this team. Yanni Gourde, who I love, is not asked to be a number one center anymore. That is important. Jaden Schwartz is healthy. He's got 13 points in 19 games. Starting to play better, though. This team just has everything clicking at the right time. That's what I'd say about this team. They play hard. They play tough. Brandon Tanev, Larson, McCann, Alexiak. It's a cast of characters, but they know how to play. And yeah, they beat the Sharks last night, but they've beaten good teams. I think they fall off a bit in the next 20 games, but I think they will be in the mix to be a wildcard team for the remainder of the season. And I firmly believe that. I talked about teams with bad players looking to trade like Chicago. San Jose has multiple players I want. None of them are named Erik Karlsson. But they lose 8-5 last night. Timo Meier had a hat trick. Timo Meier is a guy I'd want on my team. He's got 21 points in 22 games. 3 goals last night. The dude can shoot the puck. That's what I know about him. He's got a great release. I mean, you look, Hurdle's got 20 points in 22, and you got Timo Meier. If you're going for a cup, if you really want to win, notice who's out there and notice who's on bad teams. If I'm San Jose, I don't love the thought of trading Hurdle or Timo Meier for that matter. But if you can get your hands on a difference maker that can help you win a Stanley Cup, go do it. For New York, Kane, Hurdle, or Meier, call them. I think Colorado is going to be aggressive. I think Colorado believes they need another winger to win. They might be able to swing a trade like that. Dallas, I think Dallas, Timo Meier in Dallas, that would be scary because I think this team is really good. They got prospects. They got prospects that you could trade. That's something you should really look into if you're the Dallas Stars. That's another team for me. I've talked about Edmonton. You got cap space. Use it. I mean, there's a number of teams that could really be aggressive here. Pittsburgh will make a deadline move. You know they will. They always do. But interesting first 20 games as we're here on Turkey Day to really look back at the NHL. But it is Thanksgiving, the real Thanksgiving anyway, for us that watch football. And it's only appropriate on Thanksgiving that we bring back the always popular and the great guy every day of the year, Matt Wright. Writer, good to see you.
Thanks for having me on, buddy. I love jumping on, getting a little tire pump every time I come on. Just gets me going for the day. So I appreciate having me on. And I mean, we got a full slate of football today. We got a full slate of college tomorrow, and it's a great weekend to be a football fan for sure.
Yeah, well, it's almost too much stuff this weekend. We got NHL all day tomorrow. You said college football. You got the World Cup. You got the NFL. There's a lot going on right now. I don't know if you saw this week anyway, Ryder. I'm sure you saw the whole Zach Wilson debacle. What did you make of his press conference and then Robert Saleh's decision to go with Mike White?
Well, I think this is one thing where there's been a lot of pressure on them to make a move from the media, from his play, from many different factors. I feel like a move was kind of necessary. Yes, it's hard to say because he had a winning record, right? So at the end of the day, you got to win football games, right? But it's not like he was the reason they were winning football games. And to me, if you look at a team and you say, okay, we can improve in this position, you have to do that, especially when it's a team that right now is in the playoff hunt. I mean, if they're 2-7, this is a different conversation. I think people want the benching more because of what the record is, that they can actually make a move for playoffs. Right. It's tough because you want to see it succeed, especially as that's a guy you drafted second overall, right? You want him to succeed, but it's just he hasn't been good. Like the reality of the situation is he's just really digressed as a quarterback this year. He hasn't improved in what they hoped he would. So I think this is it's a good time to make the move because you go for it for a couple of weeks, and if it doesn't work out, they weren't expected to make the playoffs to begin with, right? So I think you're making this move hoping that it's going to help you for the playoffs, and if it doesn't work out, maybe you can go back to Wilson in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he had to make that move for the locker room because they just seem like you see Garrett Wilson on the field and he's so frustrated on Sunday because he's running a good route and the ball's 5 feet behind him. Did you watch that game, by the way, with your Patriots and Jets? Because that was a painful experience for me.
No, luckily enough, I was on a bus on the way home from Sherbrooke, Quebec, so I missed that 10-3 beautiful football game that was played. So no, I didn't see that one, and I'm actually not disappointed that I missed it.
So looking at today's games, obviously one's ongoing, but the other two, which games? Obviously, your Patriots play tonight, and they're a 2.5 point underdog against the Vikings. Your Patriots are 6-4, but how are you feeling about your team in general right now?
Well, to the first question, I'm most excited for the night game. Just Patriots fan. I haven't got to watch them as much as I'd like this year, if I'm being completely honest. So for me, normally I don't miss a game. I've missed 2 games already this year. So I'm looking forward to the game tonight. Minnesota, I mean, they got spanked last weekend by Dallas. So they're at home. They're going to be looking to put a statement on the board. To me, it's a must win for the Patriots. I feel as though the Patriots are kind of in the same position as the Jets. I
agree. Yeah.
Not the exact same, not as much heat there, but like they got a winning record, but I feel like they're not as good as their record is.
Right.
So, I don't know. Don't get me wrong, it's a must win for sure, especially when you look at the AFC. It's tight with a lot of teams at 6-4. It's a must win. I'm looking forward to it, but the Patriots, I don't know. They haven't looked too bad and they haven't looked too good. They're just kind of one of those teams, the mid-pack team.
I love their defense, like the Jets. Yeah. It's close to a Super Bowl win. Matthew Judon's got 14.5 sacks in 11 games. He's a great signing the last 2 years.
Awesome signing 2 years ago.
I look at Mac Jones and that offense. It seems like they run every play. It's the same one. Like it's a check down, check down, check down. And I don't know if he's not confident enough or that's what they're telling him to do. But to me, I look at him and I look at that offense. They clearly don't trust him to make big
Yeah.
throws because they didn't let him lose that game against the Jets on Sunday.
No, I think that's more of a. He's never shown that he has the throw downfield.
Mm-hmm.
He can't really make the pass over 20 to 25 yards. It's just not his game. And it sucks because, I mean, as a fan, you like seeing a little bit of everything. You like seeing run the ball. You like seeing short passes, but you also like the deep throws. And they're just not making those deep throws right now. He hasn't done it all year. I just think that they don't think he's the guy. So
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that they're like, let's keep it simple. And I think they're going to go back to the drawing board and potentially trade for a quarterback or draft a quarterback.
Right. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of movement again because teams are not patient like they used to be. They want to clear it out.
For sure. It was pretty funny. I was in New Hampshire, in Massachusetts 2 weekends ago. And I was in a memorabilia shop looking at some different things. And the guy in the store had a helmet, signed Mac Jones helmet. And he had it up for $1,500. And he said, $4,000. And he said, this helmet could be worth $1,500 or it could be worth $10,000 by the end of the year. I think that helmet's going to be closer to $1,500 than $10,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's disappointing because you want him to be better than he is. And I feel like that's the way with a lot of fan bases, a lot of young quarterbacks is at the end of the day, not all of them hit. Maybe 20 to 30% really do. But realistically, the draft, like you say, it's just one part. It's like you look at the Q draft and like you look at the guys on our Eagles team, who are Q, some will be drafted to the Q, some won't. It's just one step in the process. It's like just because you get drafted to the Q doesn't mean you're playing in the Q.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah, you gotta keep it going year by year. It has to be a progression. What do you make of that line tonight? Your team's an underdog, but it's an intriguing line.
Yeah, I wish it was 4.5.
Right.
Not 2.5. 2.5. I still think Minnesota's a better football team than the Patriots. Putting my fandom aside, I think Minnesota. Last weekend was your Kirk Cousins is going so well, he just has to go and lay an egg, right? Like he just can't keep the momentum going. I think Minnesota's a better football team, and I think Minnesota wins that game by more than 2.5. That being said, I bet a tie on the game. So
right.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I do believe Minnesota's better than the Patriots.
Yeah, I do too. I did take your Patriots plus 2.5 though tonight. Yeah. I parlayed them with the Lions. I teased the Lions.
No, I got Buffalo right now, so
yeah.
I mean, I'm up. Buffalo just scored to go up 13-7. So.
Okay, I teased it, so I got Detroit plus 13.
Oh, okay, all right. We can both win then. I don't mind that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's what I. But yeah, Minnesota. Plus, do you buy into Kirk Cousins' night game? Like, does that scare you?
I just Kirk Cousins scares me. You don't need to put anything after that. Like,
right.
Kirk Cousins himself as a football player scares me because he does everything. He does the worst of the worst and the best of the best, all in the span of 2 weeks. Like, you just can't figure the guy out. He's a top. To me, he's like the 10th, like 8th to 10th best quarterback in the league, but he's not in the top 5 or 6.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And a given week, he could be number 2.
Yeah. A given week, he could be Zach Wilson.
Yes, exactly. The middle game today, it's a big, 9.5. It's a big line, but I did not have the confidence to pick the Giants. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys won another huge game today by 2 touchdowns plus.
Yeah. I am also on the Cowboys. And it's up to 10 now. So people are putting money on the Cowboys because to me, just the Cowboys, especially what they did last week against Minnesota. I mean, you have to throw back to Cooper Rush and what he did to keep that team going. The momentum, like people are saying their season was over after week 1. So the fact that they're at where they are a legitimate playoff team. I do not want to say Super Bowl contender yet, but it's leaning towards that way. It really is. So to me, Dallas wins this game by 14 points at least, especially at home too.
And the Giants are just so beat up. Like they got no receivers still. They had none before. They have less now because they're all getting hurt.
They're a team that got off to a really, really good start, obviously.
Yeah.
They may sneak into playoffs, but I think we're starting to see the Giants that we expected at the start of the year.
I agree. Let's go to since we're talking about that division, let's go to this game because I find it one of the more interesting games of the weekend because there's not that many, if I'm being honest. It's Atlanta against the Washington football team. So you got Atlanta at 5-6 playing the 6-5 Washington, led by the Green Lizard, Taylor Heineke. Washington's decent. They're not great, but I think they're as good as the Giants, all things considered. And that they play each other 2 times in the next 3 weeks. I think that could be this is an important game for both of these teams, but I think for the football team, they might be able to sneak their way into a postseason spot if they continue to play the way they have been.
Yeah, I've liked the way they're playing. I look at my fantasy team, my defense. I have the Commanders' defense. Picked them up last week, threw up 19 points on the board. They're a good football team. And Heineke is really starting to show that he can be a legitimate quarterback in the NFL. I mean, not a top-end guy, but a very serviceable quarterback. I like their defense. I think that, they're only I think 1 or 2 pieces on offense away from really becoming a more dynamic offense. I like what Moser's doing. Like they got pieces there. I like the football team. I mean, they're in crazy to say this enough. They're in a really tough division.
Yeah.
And it's a must win. And for Atlanta's been playing, Atlanta's coming, they're not there yet. But they're keep an eye out for them next year to be a playoff team. I don't see it this year, but maybe next year. They like their coach. They play for their coach. Like Atlanta plays hard. One thing about Atlanta, they play hard. You watch the games, they play hard every game.
They're a 4.5-point dog. They've lost 1 game against the spread this season, or at least a game where they haven't covered. They have no Kyle Pitts because he hurt his MCL, but he was not getting passes anyway. Do you like Atlanta as an underdog? Do you like taking them in this pick?
Here's the thing. Washington wins, but they never win by a lot. So I feel like Washington could win this game by 2 or 3 points.
Yes.
So I might look at Atlanta. I haven't made a final decision. I did what I need to do today for my picks today. Sunday's a long way down the road. We still got college football coming up for the next 2 days. I think I'm leaning towards an Atlanta cover, but a Washington win.
That's where I'm leaning to. That's what I'm thinking right now. Tampa Bay, Ryder, I think they're a sleeping giant in the NFC. They were dead. They're waking up. I still need to see them play a few more games. But I think Tampa is getting better and better by the week. They're coming off a bye. They beat Seattle in Germany. They got Cleveland this week. They're a 3.5-point favorite on the road. When it comes to the NFC power rankings, where do you have Tampa for you?
To me, this screams the year Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl. We were talking about it a couple years ago, where they're good, but they're not running away with anything. We said if they get in, 4 or 5 seed, they can go on an absolute run, which they did at the end of the year, and then they won the Super Bowl. I'm not predicting Super Bowl, but I am saying they are a legitimate threat in the NFC.
Right.
Legitimate threat to come out of that division. I think that they are right there because we know they're going to win their division, so they're going to have a home game right there. No. I mean, Tom Brady is, yes, there's a lot of stuff going on, but a lot of stuff going on isn't talked about as much. He's got the divorce settled. He's back to what, whether you like it or not, Tom Brady loves playing football. He's back to playing football, right? So, and they're getting healthy. They are getting healthy too, which earlier in the year they weren't healthy. They have a great defense. That hasn't changed. I like them to go a long way. I really do.
Looking at, so do you like them -3.5?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. Let me ask you: are they better than the Eagles?
Here, I don't think they're better than the Eagles right now. But what I
Mm-hmm.
do think is I think Tom Brady wants another crack at the Eagles.
Yes. Yes.
So I think that they have a. The difference is when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, a lot of those players aren't there anymore.
Mhm.
A lot of the players that won, most of the players that won for Tampa Bay are still there.
Yep.
Gronk's gone. There's a few pieces gone, but there are pieces that are still there. I think that Tampa Bay is going to be a better team at the end of the year.
Are they better than Dallas?
It's tough. That's because I have those three in Minnesota as my top four. And
What
what
about San
Minnesota,
Fran?
oh, man, they're in there too. It's
Mm.
that's the thing. San Fran's looking better.
Yeah.
I still think that San Fran needs to still figure out how everything needs to work, right? It's like
Right.
they have an abundance of riches, but now they need to figure out, how to use each piece properly, I guess. Um, I it's going to be tough, right? It makes for good football.
Yep.
I like Tampa Bay. I think I like Tampa Bay going pretty far. I really do. I think I like them. I don't like them right now more than any of these teams are saying, but at the end of the year, I think I could. But San Francisco, if they figure it out with all their pieces, they could win a Super Bowl for sure.
Yes, I agree. Another big game of the weekend: Cincinnati at Tennessee. Two teams that are playing really good football at the moment. Tennessee's a 2-point home dog.
I kind of like I like Burrow. I like I think Cincinnati's offensive line's playing better. Um, I think that the Super Bowl hangover has worn off. I think they need to win the game more than Tennessee.
100%.
So I am on Cincinnati just because I feel like this is a make or break game for their season. Where if they win this one, they go on a run, and if they lose this one, there's a good chance they miss if they lose this game.
Yeah, they'll be 5-6, I believe, if they lose, or 6-5 maybe. If they lose this game. And with the Jets lurking there, the Patriots could easily win tonight. Yeah, they'll be chasing. They'll have to leapfrog a bunch of teams. Baltimore will likely win again, so they'll be down in the division by multiple games.
Yeah, hungry dog runs faster, right? So I'm going with
Yeah,
Cincinnati.
I like this. I think this will be a really good game because they know how to win games.
Yeah, they do.
Mike Vrabel, my God, what a coach he is, because he's just wills this team. Does Houston cover 13.5 against the Dolphins?
Dolphins probably win by 12.
Yeah.
Like, you know. The Dolphins have screwed me all year, if we're being honest. They just find a way to win games by they'll be 3.5-point favorites and they'll win by 3. I just have no faith. They said it best on Overdrive. The Finns are frauds. Even though I don't think they're frauds in the league, I think they just screw gamblers. So I think Houston covers for some reason. They shouldn't. They shouldn't cover, but I think they do cover. I think Miami still probably wins by 8 to 12 points, but I think that Houston will find a way to cover.
Did you see that Davis Mills got benched?
I did, but
Kyle Allen.
What's that?
Kyle Allen's coming in.
I know, our boy.
Yeah, our boy. But yeah, it's a big number. I will say
they shouldn't. They shouldn't cover, but
yeah.
I think they will.
Chicago at the Jets. So Mike White, Justin Fields did practice yesterday, so it sounds like he will play. Jets 6 point. That's a lot of points for the Jets to be a favorite.
Yeah, it is, and I gotta ask you something quick, Jug, because I'm confused. Where do you stand on Justin Fields? Because I can't figure out if he's the guy or not.
I love him. I do, but I understand the skepticism because he runs so much. Mm-hmm. But I also look at his receivers and I'm like, who are you? Like, who is this? I think it's hard because we don't know. I think if he was playing on the Jets, I don't think he'd have to run as much because Garrett Wilson and Mims and Conklin, they got players. They got running backs in Chicago and Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney, who on a great team is probably a third receiver, right? So
that's my question though, is let's say in the next couple of years they do start to put pieces around. Is he going to be able to use those pieces, or is he going to rely just on the feet?
That's the thing.
Right now, he has to run, like you're saying. Yeah. I understand, and he's got to run for 100 yards. And he's got to throw for 2 and try to put a 300-yard day together that way.
Yeah.
But to me, my question is what's he going to do when he has pieces? I guess it's hard to say because the pieces aren't there yet, so we really don't know. But it'll be interesting to see over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I agree. He's one of the more interesting prospects. I think for the Bears, they can at least be excited.
Yes.
Like Zach, he's definitely better than Zach Wilson. We can say that definitively.
Yeah.
And would you take Chicago +6?
The 6 is a lot for the Jets, especially with the quarterback. Like we said, yes, we say they made the quarterback change, but it's not like the guy they had behind him is this up and coming prospect that's like, we got a Rodgers coming in for Favre kind of thing. That's not the case.
Why isn't it Joe Flacco?
And that's what I was wondering too. Is Flacco not still there?
He is there, and he's the number 2 this week because Zach Wilson's inactive.
Is it me, or I'm kind of sniffing a Chicago win, not even a cover?
I'm sniffing that too.
That's what
I'm definitely taking Chicago +6. That's way too many points for a Jets team.
I think, to me, I look at it that if they're going to cover 6, they probably win.
Right.
Well, I think I'm going Chicago head-to-head just to win the football game.
Yeah, I don't mind that one either because I took the Jets last week and they broke my heart against your Patriots at 3.5. I near broke the TV because that stupid punt return for a touchdown. But I'll get over that. This game, oh my God, Denver at Carolina. This how bad Denver is. They're only a 1.5-point favorite against Carolina with Sam Darnold, the third quarterback in 3 weeks for Carolina. Russell Wilson, oh my God, what a season for them.
Is it bad to say that I want to see Carolina win?
Everybody wants to see Carolina win.
I don't like seeing people fail, but I want to see him fail.
Me too. Yes.
I want to see just an absolute. I mean, it's already a tire fire, but I want it to just keep on burning.
Yeah.
Burn, baby, burn. He's, you know what? He's rubbed me the wrong way for years.
Me too. Really
has.
Yep.
And, not to take personal, that team is just a mess, but I think Carolina's going to win the football game. I really do. I think there's just so much negativity around Denver that I think Carolina surprises. I'm going to put money on Carolina that game just because I want to see it happen.
I might too, just for fun. And I don't know if you saw the stat this week, but if Denver would average 18 points a game in regulation, they would be 9-1.
Think about that. I saw that too.
9-1, 18 points.
And 18 points isn't a lot of points. It's not like they're saying 25 points.
No.
18 is less than 3 touchdowns.
That's a Patriots offense, 18 points a game.
If we're lucky.
Yeah. Fair enough. Baltimore at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's a 3.5-point home dog.
I think that Baltimore wins this game by more than 3.5. Jacksonville, they're one of those teams. They're going to get there. I do think Trevor Lawrence has some potential. I really do. I just think that they just don't have a great team right now. So I'm going to go Baltimore. I just think Baltimore's a better football team, but this isn't anything against Jacksonville. I just think Baltimore's better.
Yeah, and I think Baltimore needs to have a good offensive day because they were horrible last week against Carolina, and Carolina covered that spread, so I think they'll play well. Los Angeles Chargers at Arizona. Arizona is a 3-point. There's a lot of bad games this week, by the way. This is not a great slate.
No, it's not. And we got Detroit 3rd and 3 with 2:17 left on the Buffalo 9.
Oh, yes.
If they go field goal, it's a 4-point game. If they score, it's tied going in with 2 minutes left. So This is a big drive right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, back to what you said. Not a great slate. Couple real good college games,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
On this one, I'm not sure. I don't really love the game, so I
Yeah.
might not. I might not put anything on it. I'm not going to give a prediction on this one just because I don't love it either way.
Let me ask you this game, because I'm kind of sniffing an upset. There's always a big upset every weekend. Here's one I'm sniffing. Your Raiders at Seattle. And
Jesus Christ.
I know, but I just but your guy Derek Carr, he cried, and now he wins a big game against Denver. For some reason, I just look at this game and I'm like, what? Somehow the Raiders win.
Here's what's going to happen. The Raiders are going to win. And because they're going to win, and then they're going to get to a spot where I look at them in the offseason and go, hey, they're right there. They're going to do it to me again. So we both know they're going to win this game.
They're going to win.
That's who they are.
Yeah.
They'll throw a couple upsets in towards the end of the year. You'll think they're a good football team, and then they'll go out and do the exact same thing next year. They were the Detroit Lions 6 or 7 years ago, right? They were. Anyway, I am on the Raiders too. I'll take the Raiders for the upset. Why not?
Yeah,
And for Seattle too, it's like Seattle. They obviously off to a good start, but there's another team that got off to a good start. But I just, at some point the magic needs to run out a little bit. Like, do I think they maybe sneak into the playoffs? I don't see it. Maybe they do, but they're not. I think they are who we thought they were. I think last week showed it.
Right.
I don't know. I'm leaning towards Raiders.
I'm not even going to ask you about the Rams-Chiefs game. It's not even worth our breath because
probably the most disappointing team of the year has to be the Rams.
Is this the worst title defense ever?
I don't remember one in the since I started watching football.
Yeah.
That I can remember anyway. That's been worse. No, I don't. There probably is one before our time, but in my experience watching the NFL, I think this is the worst one.
I don't think they should start Stafford again this year. There's no reason to.
Yeah, that's tough, right? I mean, it's hard to. I mean, you're paying the guy a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's hard to have a guy sit on the bench when he's making that much money. But yeah, I could see that. I could see it. I can make an argument for that. Yes, they are just It's tough to see. You really don't know what. It's hard to see what went wrong. They lost some pieces. Some guys got hurt, but they just haven't played good football all year.
No,
since day one, since opening night against Buffalo, they just haven't played good football.
Green Bay at Philly, Sunday Night Football. Philly's a 6.5-point home favorite.
I'm sick and tired of watching Green Bay in primetime games this year.
They're like Denver.
Oh, it sucks when it's like a team that just isn't very good and you see them like every week on prime time. You're just like, come on. I know that they got Rodgers. I know they're supposed to be much better. God, I am just so sick of watching Green Bay, to be honest with you. There's another mess right there. I got them to lose. I don't see them covering. I think the Eagles are I think for the Eagles, like, even though it's Green Bay, it's still Green Bay. If it's still Aaron Rodgers. The Green Bay's still a big name in the NFL. You want to beat Green Bay. They're one of those teams that, like, at the start of the calendar, that's one you want to circle and say that's a statement game for us.
Yeah, and I think if Green Bay loses, they're officially done. They're 4-8. They're done. They lose this game.
I think they're done now.
Me too. But
I think even if they win this week, I still think they're done.
If they lose this week, they'll have one more game and then a bye week. Does Jordan Love start any of those remaining 4 games?
No. I think Rodgers plays it all the way out through.
Okay.
I don't see Love starting.
Okay. Monday Night Football. Why they did not flex this game, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's the Jeff Saturday effect. Monday Night Football on ESPN. Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. Indianapolis 2.5-point home favorite.
The home favorite already for the Colts. What a year for the Colts, eh?
Yeah. My Colts are back.
The Colts, do you think the Colts are back?
I think they're going to win this game.
I think they're going to win this game, but I do not think the Colts are back.
They're not. Oh, they're never in, I guess. But
No, they're no.
they're gonna be 5-6-1, Ryder. That's a better record than the Raiders. That's all I need.
Listen, let's just stop pulling me. Listen, I know I've been big Raiders. Stop dragging me. I know I'm tied to that ship that's going off the cliff, but just stop reminding me on the way down. I know I'm going down with the ship, but you don't need to kill me before I go down off the cliff.
Okay, right? Fair enough.
But yes, I think the Colts are going to win this game. I think Pittsburgh just, isn't very good. And I think that the Colts do have when you make a coaching change, normally, you see a quick, immediate turn for the most part. And the Colts at the start of the year, you had the Colts as a playoff team. Most people you look at their roster, they have some good pieces there. I think it's an easy win for the Colts, but I don't think the Colts are anywhere where they thought they would be.
They're not a playoff team. They'll win this game, be 5-6-1. They got a tough games down the stretch. They'll lose a bunch. They're not going anywhere. Like you, I think the college sked is much better this weekend. This college weekend is interesting. Before we talk about lines, I want to go through scenarios with you and kind of get your thoughts because it's been a number of weeks. This is rivalry weekend and the last weekend where every team plays until we get to bowl season. So Georgia has 2 games remaining. They got a game this weekend and they got LSU a week from Saturday in Atlanta.
Yeah, neutral site.
Yes. Does Georgia win both games?
Yeah, I do think they win both games. I haven't seen anything this year that's told me that Georgia isn't the best team in college football. So
right.
I do think that they win both games.
So that would mean LSU has 3 losses, and that would mean they're done, correct?
Yeah, I don't think LSU is – they're a good football team. They're a top 10 team. I don't think they're a top 4 team.
No. And let me ask you, should they be ranked above Tennessee, even with Tennessee losing last week? Tennessee blew out LSU.
That one surprised me. It really did. I know a lot of it's recency bias.
Yeah.
And LSU is a bigger name than Tennessee. I think that they want to pump the LSU, Kelly coming in, with the coaching change, how this program's turning around again. They won the national championship a few years ago. They're back already. I think Tennessee should be ranked higher. Do I think LSU could be a better football team now than Tennessee is right now, right this second?
Mm-hmm.
So I think LSU might be a 3-point better team than Tennessee, but I think Tennessee still deserves to have a better ranking than LSU.
We have Ohio State and Michigan. We'll save that one for a second. TCU, they got Iowa State this weekend, and then they'll play the Big 12 title game. It's still undetermined who they'll play. If Kansas State wins, they'll play Kansas State, I believe. Mm-hmm. So every game's close. Yeah. Every game's a nail-biter. Does TCU, do they win this weekend against Iowa State?
I hope so. I hope so. It hasn't been pretty all year.
Yeah.
But they've won all year. So actually, I can't say it hasn't been pretty all year. They have blown out a few teams. But lately, there's been some close games, especially last week. Last week they, they kept their season alive at they skimmed by in the seat of their
Have you ever seen that? A running play with no timeouts? That was insane.
Weird. You just don't see that often, do you? But I want to see them win. I do think they're a much better team than Iowa State. So
yes.
Yes, I think they win this week, and I want to see them win the bowl. I want to see them in the top 4. I think if they win out, they really do deserve to be in that top 4. If they get 5th, they win out and get 5th, I'm going to be pissed off.
Me too, because there's so many teams that are 1 loss or even more than that. So USC, they got your Irish this weekend, which is an interesting game. USC is a 5.5-point favorite. They're going to finish with Notre Dame and then a Pac-12 title game on Friday against likely Oregon. That's a tough last 2 games because your team's playing much better than the beginning of the year, and Oregon's been really good all year.
Yeah.
And they just beat UCLA. I think if USC wins out, they're in the top 4.
Well, they're right there. They're hoping for a TCU loss. right? That makes
Right.
their life easier.
But let's say USC wins every game that's on their schedule, right?
Yep. No, I'm
And
with you.
Ohio State or Michigan is going to lose. Do they get in over the loser of that game?
I think that they probably do, because I think that with all the rearrangements of conferences, I
Right.
think that the committee will want to push the Pac-12.
Right.
So I think that they will find a way to get them in. Now, what hurts them, and I said it when we were on here, I think almost 2 months ago, they ruined it when they were, I think, 6-0, and they lost that game. I think like
Utah.
was in
Yeah.
Utah. Like that was one. I think I said if they lost that game, their season's over. What's saving them really is the fact that my Fighting Irish are playing better. Like
Right. It's an impressive win if they win.
it's a big win if they beat Notre Dame. Where 2 months ago we were been saying, oh, Notre Dame, like they're like, I got to give props to Notre Dame. They've really picked up
100%.
their football.
100%.
So this game is now a big game. This is kind of the game you've had circled at the start of the year, is kind of really actually being the game that we thought it would be.
Right.
So did I ever think Notre Dame would be in the top four? No. But did I think that they'd be playing in good games at the end of the year? Yes. So yes, there was a tough start, but at least they're playing meaningful games at the end. This is a big football game. And I think if they win, it is a statement win against a Notre Dame.
Agreed.
I would love to see Notre Dame win, though. I freaking hate USC against Notre Dame. Like, to me, I love the fact that this game means something.
You want to see it as a spoiler.
Oh, I would love it. I would love it nothing more as a Notre Dame fan to watch USC end their championship run. Like the chance to go to a Final Four. I love the fact of being an underdog. And no, it's a great feeling as a fan right now, knowing that your team's playing better. They're going to make a pretty good bowl game. All in all, there's been some ups and downs, but if you look at the end of the year, if you look right now, it's actually been a pretty positive season.
Yep.
All things considered, the start. And I think they're only getting better. You look at Notre Dame's recruiting class, they have the best recruiting class they said they've ever had coming in next year.
Right.
So I'm very happy right now as a Notre Dame fan, and I would love to see nothing more than a spoiler. Oh, I'd love to see it.
Would you take them plus 5.5?
I'm going to take them to win.
Wow.
But if you're a fan, like, take them to win as me. But if you're someone who is actually, betting the game, I think that number is right on the line.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I think USC wins by all things considered, USC probably wins by 3 or 7. So I think it's a one-score game.
Yeah, I agree. It's close. I'm thinking of taking your Irish myself because I look at it, and I took them against Clemson. I was happy about that when I bet that.
Yeah, that was a great win.
So play with me for a second here. Is there any way Bama gets in?
Well, there shouldn't be.
Yeah, I know.
There shouldn't be. There really shouldn't be. But there's always a way.
Because if USC loses to Notre Dame, let's say, or even if they lose in the Pac-12 title game, that's 2 losses. If LSU loses, they will have 2 losses, right?
Yeah.
Clemson would have 1 loss, but I don't think the committee's putting Clemson in.
No.
I can't. I don't
does not deserve to be in. We've been saying that all year.
No, I think North Carolina might beat them anyway in that game. So Michigan would have, or Ohio State would have 1 loss. Let's say TCU wins out, they'd have none. So it would kind of be Bama against Michigan or Ohio State. I think it's in Michigan, even with 2 losses, I think they'd look at it and say, I think it'd still be a debate, as crazy as that sounds.
I think it will, honestly, it could depend on how the game's played on Saturday at 1:00 between Michigan and Ohio State. What does that game look like? Is that a blowout? Is that a close game? Does it look like 2 teams that deserve to be in the Final Four? I think, to me, to determine the BCS, you got to look at that game and just kind of really not make any decision. I mean, that's why the end of the year is so nice in college football, because there's so many different options, right?
Yeah.
But they're going to try their hardest to find a way to get Alabama in.
Yeah. There's still a path. Like, it was like, oh, it's done. I'm like, it's not done, because I still think there's avenues for this to happen. But yeah, I think it's unlikely, but I still think there are ways for this to do it. Michigan, Ohio State on Saturday. Who do you like in that game and why?
I I just think Michigan always loses the big game. I I just even I don't know. It's going to be a great football game. It really is. I don't think Ohio State is living up to how great their offense was supposed to be at the start of the year.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's been bad. It's been one of the best teams in the league, but I don't think that their offense is quite as good as we thought it was going to be at the start of the year. I think Michigan is a little bit better than we thought they were going to be at the start of the year.
Yep.
I still think that Ohio State, I hate them both. I mean, as a Notre Dame fan, the three teams I hate are US. Like, if I had to pick a top three, it'd be Michigan, Ohio State, and USC. So,
right.
I mean, I got all three of them going this weekend. So,
yeah.
I really do. If I look at, who Ohio State has as a quarterback, as a wide receiving core, as a running game, I just think Ohio State's just a little bit better than Michigan.
Yeah, and Blake Corum's injury is big too, because he might not be able to go for Michigan. That's their whole offense.
Yeah, he's still questionable right now. I don't think they've made a full decision on that yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if that's showing that he's banged up though, even if he does play.
Yeah, he didn't play in the second half last week, and they barely beat Illinois, who's not a good team.
Yeah, my dad wasn't too happy with that game. He thought Illinois got screwed. He thought that they tried their best to keep Michigan alive, the referees. Richie Wright was not.
Yeah, he's not wrong. The old Illinois coach, old Rum Nose, he was pretty pissed off too. So that was a interesting game. South Carolina's at Clemson this weekend. They just came off a huge win, obviously, against Tennessee. But they're getting 14.5. That screams to me I want to take South Carolina. I want to take the Cogs.
They're a 14.5 point dog or favorite?
Dog.
Oh, against Clemson?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
Points.
Baffled when I saw it too.
Give me I thought it was. I read that wrong because I thought it was 4.5. You're telling me it's 4.
It's 14.5.
God, give me the points. That's one you might even look for an upset.
I know. I thought the same thing.
It's hard when you make a big win in college football, like as an upset, to go do it again the next week.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really see that, but 14.5. Clemson is terrible.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like, not terrible, but terrible compared to where people were saying at the start of the year. I mean, I've been against Clemson all year. Notre Dame, yes, it's great they beat. Notre Dame still isn't a top 10 team. There may be a top 15 team. Mm-hmm. And they dominated Clemson.
Yeah.
I just think that 14.5 is way too many. Could be wrong, but I'm on to give me the points. I am all over South Carolina.
Another line I like is Tennessee is a 14-point favorite at Vanderbilt. Vandy's hot, Ryder. They're winning games. They're upsetting people.
Yeah.
No Hendon Hooker. He tore his ACL, so it's Joe Milton III, backup quarterback. Mm-hmm. I like Vandy plus 14.
Yeah, I think that, unfortunately, Tennessee's season has come to an end in the sense of really pushing for a top 4. I think that I don't hate it. I don't hate it. That's one of them. I don't know if I'll bet, but if I am going to bet, it's going to be on Vanderbilt for the 2 scores. 2 scores is a lot on the road for a team that's treading water to get into a good bowl game.
I'll tell you, I've been doing some degenerate gambling lately because last week I bet UMass plus 33.5 against Texas A&M, and I won that bet. Because A&M is so fucking terrible.
I don't hate that at all. Like, the one thing about college football compared to the NFL, and I believe this, that if you look at the matchups between the teams, you look at who's playing good and who's not playing good.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to take an underdog or a favorite for a lot of points than it is in the NFL. Agreed.
Because, I agree. Because the talent disparity is so wide-ranging, right, compared to the NFL where it's, yes, there's better teams, but it can be evenly distributed. There's good players on every NFL team, as bad
Yeah,
as you.
and one player doesn't make the difference in the NFL,
Right.
even at the quarterback position. Don't get me wrong, it makes a difference, but not to the extent that in college, where
Yep.
one injury, depending on the team, makes such a massive difference, whether it's offensively or defensively.
100%. But yeah, we got games all day tomorrow. Like Tulane and Cincinnati tomorrow afternoon's an interesting game. Two really, quietly good teams. You got Baylor and your Texas Longhorns tomorrow afternoon.
Yep.
NC State, North Carolina, Florida, and FSU Friday night. And what do you make of Lane Kiffin and his, I guess, Auburn looking to scoop him up as their next head coach?
I see that. I mean, Kiffin loves that noise around him, right? Like
Yeah.
he lives in that idea of his name being out there, right? I don't know. I feel like he's done where he's at is the right spot for him right now.
Right.
I don't know if you want to be moving into Auburn because at the end of the day, Auburn just isn't. They have the odd year where they're pretty good, but they seem to lose a lot more than they win.
Yeah, it's a down program right now.
Yeah, it's to me. I think the program. I think he'd be taking a step back, moving to Auburn. I mean, financially, he'd probably be taking a step forward. Auburn has more money, but
yeah,
I think he's fine right where he's at.
Yeah, I agree. They play tonight against Mississippi State, so that's another game between the NFL. Quickly before we go, I said we should do our turkeys of the year. So this is just pro sports, people that are losers or a turkey, just any people that came to mind for you.
Oh man, I mean, there's a few turkeys out there. I think we can start. To me, Aaron Rodgers, turkey.
Right.
He's been a turkey all year. Between his play and his comments, his off the field activities, he's just been being a turkey all year, in my opinion. Turkey, I would say, this sucks to say, the Ottawa Senators in the NHL. I wish they were a little bit better than they are right now. Like I played with Drake. Like we're acquaintances. We talk here and there. He's like Ottawa. I just wish they were better than they are. I think potentially we might be seeing some changes there, behind the bench potentially.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought they were going to be a little bit better than they are. So I'm going to give just the Ottawa Senators the turkey. I hope that changes. I just think that there could be better. Going around the golfing world in the last year, I'm going to give Phil Mickelson a big turkey.
Yeah. I had Greg Norman on my list.
Yeah, he's right. There's two turkeys. There's three extra good with those two at the table.
Yeah.
I would have Phil Mickelson as a turkey. You know who I have too the World Cup, I'm going to give a big turkey to because
you like it. Yes.
The fact it's in Qatar, I'm just giving that just a big turkey right there.
Amen.
I just think that it's one of those things where you're going to hear some real horror stories come out of that after the event's done.
Yep.
Canada played well yesterday. I wish they would have been able to capitalize on some opportunities. But for soccer, you just see doesn't matter how good you play. The top teams find a way to win football games. It seems like. So, but those would be my turkeys just off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more I could think of, but that's where I'm gonna go here for my turkeys.
No, I was similar to you. I had Greg Norman. I threw Russell Wilson on our list because he's just he's got to be on there. I had Jim Benning of the Vancouver Canucks when he did get fired, but what a crap fest he built there in Vancouver. Deshaun Watson, turkey, for sure. I like your Qatar one and the World Cup. That's a turkey. Do you get into the World Cup? Like, do you watch? Do you get it? Did you? Do you watch? Do you watch the games?
I did. I watched the Canada game yesterday.
Yeah.
What rattles me so much about soccer is I know in hockey sometimes say, "Oh man, we played well. We couldn't get the offense going."
Yeah.
But man, like I understand that they're happy to be at the World Cup and the announcers are pushing we're playing awesome against Belgium. This great. They didn't score a goal. Like at
No.
the end of the day, you still got to score. Like I don't know. Like they're giving Canada. I love Canada. I wish them the best. I really do. I'll be cheering for them every game they play. But like, let's not give them too much credit here. Like, we didn't even score a goal. Like, I know it's good that they played well. I thought they were the better team, but let's not keep pumping their tires too much here. Like, that's just where I'm at with it. But I'll watch the Canada games. I'll watch the final probably. I can't say I'm going to watch all of it.
Yeah.
But I will be aware of who goes through in the group stage. I'll watch the odd game here and there, but I mean, to me, like, I'm not watching the World Cup today. I'm not watching the World Cup tomorrow. Like, I'm
Yeah.
focused on football, hockey. There's to me, there's bigger fish to fry out there. I'm just not a big soccer guy.
Yeah, I track it and I try to catch the occasional, but I'm not taping a game to watch 90 minutes of soccer. I can't do that like that. But if it's on, I'll throw like before work in the morning, that 5:45 game, I'll throw it on. But yeah, it's not my favorite either. But I agree with you about Canada. I think, like you said, they played well yesterday. But come on, score a fucking goal! Like, come on, it's a huge net. Put it through, Christ.
Just like yeah, it's just I can't like they'll be like pretty close to the 18-yard box, have full control, and
Yeah,
5 passes later, they're passing it back to their goalie. It's like you
right,
were just close to shooting. Like I don't know, and that's where like I don't know the game of soccer, the ins and outs of soccer,
right.
where I just sometimes don't see the strategy. And as a coach, it's frustrating where I'm like, I don't see that, but I don't know the game. So like,
Yeah,
but to me, I feel like it's just a sport I can't get around, but I will watch Canada play. I want to see them win. I want to see them do well. The fact that they're at the World Cup is awesome compared to where Canada soccer was, say, 10 years ago to where
I
it
hate
is
it. I
now.
hate it in the winter. I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a winter sport.
No, no.
But it is what it is. It's great for people I mean, it gives soccer fans in the country something to really cheer about
Right.
compared to, how it's normally hockey and, the odd time basketball, the other sports. But I am not into it as much as I would be for college football Friday tomorrow.
Right. I know you're at home this weekend. No travel for once for you. You guys got a 2-pack of games upcoming.
Yeah, we play tomorrow night and Saturday afternoon. It's going to be nice on a Thursday night to sleep in my own bed, Friday night sleep in my own bed. We don't get many home games for the years. With prep schools, it's a lot of travel. So we're excited to have home games, doing a billet appreciation tomorrow night, getting some of our major sponsors there, having some minor hockey teams out. It's going to be a fun night. Hopefully we can our team's been sick for 2 weeks. We had 12 guys at practice today. And it's the most we've had in 2 weeks. The bug has really gone through our team.
Yeah.
I think last week we had 2 players that actually practiced the full week. So we went up to Montreal last weekend. We went 2-2, and we were happy with how we played as a team. All things considered, how sick we were. The guys battled hard. Hopefully, we're starting to get a little healthier. So hopefully by tomorrow night we're even more healthy. But it's exciting to be playing home games. We've been on the road a lot, but we have a good group of guys. We have good support from the school, and it's crazy to think that we're at the end of November already. We're going on game 20, 25, and 26 this weekend. So we're gonna have 30 games in, potentially 31 by the end of before Christmas break. So the boys are playing a lot of hockey. It's nice to see guys improving, and I think we're really starting to come together as a team. And no, we're looking forward to this weekend. So I appreciate you mentioning it.
No, well, enjoy the time at home, and maybe if you're not busy, we'll get together Saturday night. I'm up watching Tally Friday, and I'm staying for Saturday night too. So maybe we'll have a beverage.
I send me a message. That's awesome. So no, that's great to hear. I'd love to catch up with you. And right now we got Bills 17, Detroit 14 at the half.
I'll take that.
So it looks like It could go. You're in good shape, and I'm not in terrible shape either. So we'll see a
Okay.
second half football,
Well,
and I'm sure we'll be sending a text or two throughout the rest of the day.
absolutely. Good luck this weekend, Ryder, and we'll talk. We'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Jug. See you later.
See you, Ryder. There's Matt Wright, everybody. Great to talk to him. Always a pleasure. And yeah, he's coaching Champions Hockey. He'll be doing that this weekend in Fredericton. And yeah, he's only getting better at his craft. It's something he works extremely hard at. As you saw, if you're watching on video, he's got that red Champions hoodie on. They look sharp. So good luck to Ryder and his team this weekend. And always appreciate him coming on and his hard work with everything that he does in his career and in his semi-career here on To The Point. This weekend, lots of stuff. College, as we just documented. NFL, as we documented. NHL, all afternoon tomorrow. College football, tomorrow afternoon. We got the World Cup. We hate Qatar, but we track it here. We'll talk about it. Brazil playing Serbia right now. No goal, 0-0 at the 11th minute. Today, Switzerland has defeated Cameroon. Uruguay and Korea had a draw, and Portugal beat Ghana 3-2. And in that game, Cristiano Ronaldo became the first player ever to score goals in 5 different World Cups. So quite a feat from him. We'll be back Monday. Have a great weekend. If you're eating turkey because you're celebrating in the United States or just want to have some turkey, enjoy that too. Talk to you then. This is To The Point.